This is the classification of medication for diabetes. Okay, now this is where you become a pharmacist without even wanting to. Class number 1, the first line is called the big one AIDS. So write down big one AIDS. Big one AIDS. You see, they are just called big. They are just big. It's a big business. Anyway, big one AIDS. And the number 1 drug in this classification is called metformin. So when you're taking that drug called metformin, you're actually taking a drug from the classification of drugs called big one AIDS. There are other drugs in this classification, but they were removed because they cause you lactic acidosis. They cause you high acids in the system. They lower the pH. You have problems. Maki, that is what I'm talking about. Big one AIDS. Now, metformin. There is another drug that you people did not know that can actually lower blood sugars, and it comes from this group, and it's an anti-malarial drug. Now, you've heard of when you go to hospitals and you take a malaria test, the RDT, and you're told, oh, hauna malaria, okay, you don't have malaria, but chances are there is malaria hidden in your liver. Have you heard of that statement? That, you know what? That the tests are showing you're negative. The test for negative for malaria, it was negative. But now the doctor has to convince you, because he has to give you a prescription for the AL, the artemether lumefantrine, or a tesunet injection. I mean, we have to get something from that insurance, right? So the doctor convinces you, you know what? There might be no malaria in your blood, but some of it is hidden in the liver. Have you heard of that statement? And then goes ahead and gives you artemether lumefantrine, the AL. You people call it Lonart, whatever the brand name. Now, this is a drug that is supposed to target malaria in the blood, the red blood cell cycle, that phase. It cannot destroy malaria that is in the liver. So basically, that's a useless drug on that prescription. Hello? Yeah, there are drugs that are supposed to treat malaria that is, we call it hypnozoids. Those that, hypno means sleep. So there are those parasites for malaria. When the life cycle happens in the liver, of course, they undergo the sleeping phase. We call it the hypnosis stage. So they go through the sleeping phase, and they will come back later to cause you malaria later. But that is only for oval, Plasmodium ovale. That's very, very notorious for relapse of malaria. Now, when you're treating the relapse malaria, those that went into hypnosis, you don't use artemether lumefantrine. No. You use proguanil. Sounds like a Luo name, right? Proguanil. So proguanil is another medication that can actually lower your blood sugars. So that is one drug that people did not know. It is actually in the group of drugs for diabetes, the classification of drugs for diabetes. Now, there's also another one that, you know, ladies, when you've given birth, your child on their umbilical cord, there's that gel that is applied there to actually prevent infections. How many know that gel by name? There's that gel that is applied on the umbilical cord to actually make sure that the umbilical cord does not get infected. That is a medication that actually comes from the same group that is called the big one AIDS. So some of these medications are actually going to lower blood sugars, and we just don't know, right? And then somebody will ask, but how will this drug that you're applying on the umbilical cord lower blood sugars? But you see, the skin is an absorbing surface. It's an absorbing surface. So, but anyway, today we're not here to tackle clohexidine. Yes, it's called clohexidine. Thank you for that. So we're not here to tackle clohexidine. We're not here to tackle proguanil. But I wanted you to know that. So we are here to tackle metformin. Metformin is very common in every prescription for diabetes because it is the first line. It is a standard medication. It has minimal side effects. And the amazing part about metformin is it will not take you into hypoglycemia. It is called a euglycemic agent, so it cannot take you into hypo. And that's why it's a first-line medication. However, how does it act, and then what are the side effects? Number one, the mode of action of metformin is, one, there are actually several. So number one, it reduces hepatic glucose production. Now, hepatic liver. Okay, so in the liver, there are multiple channels under which we produce glucose. And this is why I should tell you this for free, that Carbohydrates are not the only energy-giving foods. When proteins and amino acids get into the liver, when fats get into the liver, there is something called gluconeogenesis. Gluco for glucose, neo for new, and then genesis, generate. So you're generating glucose from new sources that are not carbohydrates, and that is amino acids from proteins and also triglycerides from fats. Do you understand that now? So metformin blocks the liver from undergoing or from doing that process called gluconeogenesis. So therefore, you will not produce any glucose from amino acids. You will not produce any glucose from the fats. So we now lower blood glucose levels because nothing is coming from the liver into the bloodstream in terms of glucose. That is number one. Mode of action number two, it increases insulin sensitivity. So that means it makes sure that glucose in blood is now pumped into the muscle cells for utilization or into the fat cells for storage. That is where we start questioning the system, because number one, why are we increasing insulin sensitivity when the cells are already resisting this insulin? Hello? Why are we focusing on the insulin production and increasing its sensitivity when we know we are already diabetic? So our fat cells are already having enough glucose. We need to burn it out. Our muscle cells are unable to utilize the glucose that is there. That's why we are diabetic anyway. So why are we increasing insulin sensitivity so that we can keep pushing sugar from the blood into these cells? Does that make sense to you? Why? So mode of action number two, questionable. Mode of action number three, it decreases glucose uptake in the intestines. That makes sense, right? But again, question it. Why would we reduce glucose uptake in the intestines instead of just not eating the carbs? Hello? Free therapy. So if we want to reduce glucose uptake from the intestines, we don't need to eat the carbohydrates, because we already know carbohydrates are the most useless meals because they don't serve us any purpose apart from giving us useless energy, that is glucose. They are giving us empty calories, only glucose, no minerals, no essential minerals and amino acids, no nothing. It's just glucose. And since we can simply get this glucose from amino acids, which is protein, and from the fats, why then should we consume carbohydrates? And we all know that the only reason why we're consuming carbohydrates is because we are sugar addicts in denial. You don't eat ugali because you need energy. No, you eat ugali because you're an addict to sugar, but you are in denial. You will never accept it. You don't eat a fruit because it has vitamins. You eat a fruit because it has sugar. If I remove sugar from the fruit, nobody eats the fruit because you don't know the taste of vitamins. But if I remove the vitamins and I leave the sugar, you will constantly consume the fruits and say, oh, they have vitamins. You are a sugar addict, but in denial. Amazing stuff, right? Hey, mi nakula mangoes kwa sababu ziko na vitamins. Which vitamin is in mangoes and is absent in vegetables? Why don't you snack on vegetables? Let's continue. So those are the three mode of actions of metformin. I hope you are here, you are getting it. So all these mode of actions, the only one that makes sense is blocking absorption of glucose from the intestines. But that is easy to handle. Stop eating the carbohydrates, you will not need the metformin. Good. And what are the side effects of metformin? Because that's what we are here for. Now, metformin exists in different names. Of course, you know of glucophage, you know of glucomet and all that. These are the trade names. But metformin is the active ingredient. It is the generic name. Doc, what are the methods of removing sugar from the body? Number one, do not eat carbohydrates so that you don't load the stores. Number two, start fasting so that you burn what you stored. Simple. Simple question, very good answer. Clap for me, gentlemen. Somebody's here with their mangoes. Enjoy those mangoes, but realize that you're taking in fructose and glucose at the same time. So you're not taking in any vitamins, because the body is not stupid to take something that doesn't give it a reward.